An American company interviews a remote software developer. The resume looks normal, the background check passes, the company mails out a laptop, code gets written, meetings happen, and a perfectly ordinary salary begins moving through payroll. There is only one small administrative problem. The employee may actually be a North Korean IT worker operating from China or Russia, while the company laptop sits in a stranger's spare bedroom somewhere in the United States. And the most inconvenient part is that the worker may be genuinely good at the job. This is not a hypothetical security exercise. Schemes like this have reached Fortune 500 businesses and a defense contractor. In October 2023, federal agents searched the Arizona home of a woman named Christina Chapman. Inside, they found more than 90 laptops issued by American companies. The machines were labeled with the company and identity connected to each one. Chapman had also shipped 49 company devices overseas, some to a Chinese city near the North Korean border. According to the Justice Department, the operation used the identities of 68 Americans to apply for or obtain remote jobs at 309 U.S. companies. The scheme generated at least $17.1 million. Chapman was eventually sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. So how does a North Korean worker end up inside an American company without entering America? Take one of the laptops from Chapman's house. Before it arrives there, the operation needs an identity. That can mean a stolen name, passport, social security number, education history, or an entire online profile. The resume can include real companies and believable experience designed to survive a background check. Then somebody applies for a remote job. Sometimes the person attending the interview is not the person who later does the work. The FBI has warned that the interview and the job may be handled by different people. It has also documented AI face swapping during video calls. In other words, the face on the screen, the name on the documents, and the hands writing the code do not necessarily belong to the same human being. Once the applicant is hired, the employer sends a laptop to an American address. The company thinks its new developer receives it. Instead, it may reach a local facilitator. The facilitator keeps the machine powered on and gives the overseas worker access through remote desktop software or a KVM switch, which controls the keyboard, video, and mouse. From thousands of kilometers away, the worker uses a real company laptop through an American internet address. The device is real. The connection looks domestic. The payroll account may also look American. The laptop stays in that room, while its keyboard is controlled from abroad. The employee is inside the company network without being inside the country. A room hosting machines like this is called a laptop farm. There are no crops. The harvest is apparently payroll. Chapman's home was not the only one. In June 2025, the Justice Department announced searches of 29 suspected laptop farms across 16 states involving roughly 200 computers. In April 2026, 2 American facilitators in another case were sentenced to prison. Their scheme reached more than 100 companies and generated over $5 million for North Korea. This was not one clever person with too many laptops. It was infrastructure. North Korea did not invent remote work. It simply examined the hiring process and noticed that identity, location, and computer access had all become separate things. The workers themselves are also not random people watching a 3-hour coding tutorial before the interview. Official U.S. guidance describes a system that recruits talented students into elite science and technology programs. North Korean teams have worked on apps, websites, cryptocurrency platforms, games, artificial intelligence, and databases. Many can complete the contracts they win. That makes the scheme more effective than a normal fake employee scam. A manager sees usable work arriving on time and assumes everything is fine. Technically, the sprint was completed. Geopolitically, there may be a minor issue. The point of the operation is money. A 2024 United Nations estimate cited by the Justice Department placed the network at roughly 3,000 North Korean IT workers abroad, with another 1,000 operating from inside North Korea. Together, they were estimated to generate between $250 million and $600 million per year. The U.S. Treasury says the North Korean government may take up to 90% of overseas workers' wages, routing the money toward regime priorities that include weapons programs. So a company may believe it is paying an ordinary developer to repair a database. Part of that salary can instead enter a revenue system serving the North Korean regime. But the salary is only one risk. These workers can receive the same access as legitimate developers: source code, internal messages, cloud systems, customer information, and technical documents. U.S. authorities say one scheme accessed source code and export-controlled data from a defense contractor. In another case, workers stole more than $900,000 in virtual currency from a blockchain company. The FBI has also warned that some workers copied proprietary code and sensitive data, then demanded money after being discovered. In some cases, stolen code was released publicly. Not every fraudulent worker begins as a hacker. Government guidance says many perform real, non-malicious development work. But once an unknown operator has trusted access, the difference between employee and intruder may be only the name attached to the account. Detecting them has produced some unusually specific advice. The FBI recommends comparing interview images with later meetings and checking unexpected shipping or payment changes. During video calls, employers are advised to ask applicants to show the room, point the camera out a window, and wave a hand in front of their face to expose possible AI manipulation. International counterintelligence has reached the point where one official security procedure is asking the new developer to wave at the camera properly. Even that does not solve everything. A real person can interview for somebody else, a real American address can hide a room full of laptops, and a worker can perform well before anyone notices that the identity, location, account, and human being do not match. At first glance, this looks like cyber war. In practice, it begins with a job listing, a background check, and a shipping label. No secret tunnel is required. No agent has to climb a fence. A hostile government can reach a company through its careers page, using a convincing resume, a laptop in a spare bedroom, and a remote employee who never seems interested in visiting the office, which, to be fair, describes a large part of the software industry, usually without the North Korea part.